Here's the hard truth. A lot of grown men are still living like spoiled boys, and the worst part? They think it's normal. They grew up hearing that men don't cry, but no one ever taught them that real men don't run from responsibility either. The result? A generation lost between self-pity and wounded pride, waiting for someone to come save them. Let me be clear, no one's coming to save you. And that's actually great news. What separates the average man from the respected man is one simple thing: posture. While some complain about their boss, the government, or their ex, others take life as it is, and build something meaningful out of it. Being a real man isn't about shouting louder or driving the nicest car. It's about being a provider, a shield for your family, a role model for your kids, and a man worthy of being called the pride of the household. And no, you don't need a degree or luck for that. You need boldness. And it starts now. If you want to become that kind of man, strong on the inside, refined on the outside, grounded in what you believe and magnetic in how you carry yourself, then these 10 principles are for you. Each one has the power to change your life in a real, practical way. But fair warning, this isn't for everyone. Keep reading only if you're ready to face the truth most men aren't brave enough to hear. Principle 1. Take full responsibility for your life. There comes a moment in every man's life when he needs to stop pointing fingers and look himself in the mirror with brutal honesty. The life you're living today is the direct result of the choices you've made, or refused to make. Complaining about your boss, your ex, your parents, or the government won't change a thing. A true provider understands that masculinity begins when you stop blaming and start building. He doesn't wait to be rescued, he trains to be the rescuer of his own family. A hard-working man who's still stuck in regret is like someone trying to build a house with his feet planted in quicksand. You can't lead your children or build a stable home if you're always playing the victim. Want to switch careers? Study at night. Take free courses on YouTube. Read books like The Richest Man in Babylon or The 4-Hour Workweek. Feeling stuck? Start small. Just 20 minutes of focused learning every day, and in 3 months, you'll be unrecognizable. Your future isn't decided by your past, it's built by your actions today. Real masculinity takes guts. Guts to grab the wheel and drive, even when the road is bumpy. The elegant man, the respected man, the one who becomes the pride of his family. He's the one who learns how to turn pain into power. And guess what? It all starts with one simple choice: stop whining and start moving. But direction matters too. Because there's no point taking the wheel if you don't know where you're headed. And that destination, my friend, is the home you're called to provide for. Principle 2. Be the provider your home deserves. Being a provider isn't just about putting food on the table. It's about creating an atmosphere where your wife and kids can breathe easy, knowing there's a steady, reliable man leading the way. It's not about being controlling or macho. It's about being responsible, loving, and present. A hard-working man proves his masculinity when he prioritizes his family's stability over his personal comfort. And that takes strategy, vision, and financial discipline. A man who understands his role as provider knows that relying on one paycheck is risky business. While some waste their nights playing video games, others are learning about real estate investing, building side hustles, or selling products online. If money's tight, why not work during the day and study at night? There are courses like Financial Peace University or books like Think and Grow Rich that can change the way you handle money. A man's elegance isn't just in how he dresses, it's in how seriously he takes the well-being of his home. A woman respects the man she sees grinding day in and day out for the future of their family. Even small children can sense when dad is setting the example. And that kind of respect isn't bought with expensive gifts, it's earned through consistency and emotional safety. When a man steps up as a true provider, he becomes the anchor in life's storms. But providing isn't just about bills and income. There's more to it. A lot more. And that's what we'll talk about next. Principle 3. Protect what's yours, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Being a real man isn't just about having strong arms, it's about having strong words, steady decisions, and deep prayers. Protecting your family goes far beyond lifting weights or acting tough. It means creating a home where your wife feels safe, your kids feel seen, and everyone knows who's standing guard. A true provider's masculinity is measured by how well he keeps danger out and love in. Want a real-life example? Learning jiu-jitsu or boxing isn't just about fighting, it's about being prepared to defend what matters. Protecting emotionally means being present, listening without judgment, and helping your kids understand how to handle their feelings. Protecting spiritually means praying with your family, reading a proverb at bedtime, and modeling values they can live by. A refined man guards his home with strength and sensitivity. It's not about being tough, it's about being complete. And let's be clear, protection shows up in daily choices. It's in who you allow into your home, what content your kids are exposed to, and the standards you uphold. The attractive, trustworthy man filters what enters his space. He corrects, guides, and leads. That kind of strength earns respect and creates connection. But to lead this way, he needs deep roots, and those roots are planted in faith. Let's dig into that next. Principle 4. Build a real relationship with God. No man is so strong that he doesn't need to be on his knees sometimes. True masculinity begins when a man recognizes that even as the provider, he needs guidance from above. A spiritual routine, prayer, scripture, community, isn't weakness. It's wisdom. A man leading his family without God is building a house on sand. Faith isn't a side activity. It's the foundation that holds everything together. Want real change in your life? Start waking up 30 minutes earlier. Use that time to pray, read a chapter from Proverbs or the Gospels, and reflect in silence. Join a local church. Pray with your wife. Teach your kids how to talk to God. That changes the entire energy in your home. A man may wear expensive cologne, but the fragrance that leaves a mark is the authority that comes from being spiritually grounded. When faith is a daily habit, your decisions become clearer. Your conflicts get resolved with wisdom instead of pride. Your presence becomes steady and reliable. That's the kind of spiritual leadership your family craves, and yes, it also makes you more attractive to your wife. There's nothing sexier than a man who knows who he is because he knows who he belongs to. But spiritual strength is just part of the equation. It's time to talk about how you show up, physically and socially. Principle 5. Develop a healthy, attractive masculinity. You don't have to look like a movie star to be attractive, but you do have to take care of yourself. Healthy masculinity starts with presence, standing tall, making eye contact, speaking with confidence. A man who respects his body, his words, and his space commands attention without saying a word. And more than that, he shows he respects himself. That's the kind of man who gets noticed, at work, at home, and by his children. Want more respect? Start with your habits. Hit the gym 3 times a week, lift weights, do jiu-jitsu, run, whatever fits your style. Eat clean. Drink more water. Get real sleep. Drop the vices that make you soft: porn, smoking, excessive drinking, laziness. Groom yourself. Trim your beard. Dress simple, but sharp. Elegance lives in the details. And no, that's not vanity. That's discipline and self-respect. If you can't take care of yourself, how can you lead anyone else? This kind of man, healthy, composed, grounded, naturally attracts women. But beyond attraction, he inspires his kids, reassures his wife, and earns influence in his community. And let's be clear, it's not just about how you look. It's about how you carry yourself. A man who walks into a room with dignity doesn't go unnoticed. But none of that matters if your word means nothing. Let's dive into that next. Principle 6. Be a man of integrity and your word. What separates an ordinary man from a respected one isn't what he says, it's what he does. Character isn't something you claim. It's something you prove. When a real provider gives his word, it should carry more weight than a signed contract. There's nothing more masculine, elegant, and attractive than a man whose actions match his promises. He doesn't have to swear, his reputation speaks for itself. It's easy to promise faithfulness, responsibility, and commitment. Harder to stay true to them on the tough days, when no one's watching. But that's when character really shows. Keep your word to your kid, even when you're exhausted. Have that uncomfortable conversation with your wife, even if it costs your pride. Say no to shortcuts at work. These aren't just moral decisions, they build something priceless: trust. And trust is the cement of every solid relationship. When your word is steady, your home becomes steady. People start listening when you speak, not out of fear, but out of respect. That's why true leadership doesn't come from shouting, it comes from living as an example. But let's be real, integrity alone won't make people follow you. It needs to be paired with action. And that's where real leadership begins, not with control, but with consistency. Principle 7. Lead by example, not by volume. A real leader doesn't raise his voice, he raises the standard. Mature masculinity understands that authority isn't built through fear, but through consistency. Yelling at your wife, intimidating your kids, acting like a dictator, all of that screams weakness, not leadership. A true provider leads with strength and balance. He doesn't have to demand respect, he earns it. Want to teach your kids responsibility? Start by making your own bed. Want your wife to admire you? Show her honor, even when you disagree. Want your house to be clean? Wash your own dishes. Helping around the house doesn't make you less of a man, it makes you more of one. Being a man means being the standard. A refined man leads with patience, corrects with wisdom, and lives what he teaches. That's why his leadership lasts. And here's the beautiful part: when a man leads by example, people follow naturally. His kids want to be like him. His wife trusts him. His friends listen to him. But to influence others, he must stay prepared. True leaders never stop learning. And if growth is what you're after, the next step is non-negotiable. Principle 8. Invest in lifelong growth. A man who stops learning starts dying from the inside out. The world keeps moving. Expectations keep rising. And if you don't grow, you'll fall behind, even inside your own home. A true provider stays ahead of the game, with knowledge, vision, and problem-solving skills. Masculinity isn't just about muscle, it's about a sharp and disciplined mind. Start simple. Read one book a month. Try Rich Dad, Poor Dad, 12 Rules for Life, or The Power of Now. Take one course every 6 months. You can find free ones on marketing, leadership, tech, or finance. Look for mentors. Join men's groups with purpose and values. You can't lead your kids or your wife with an outdated mindset. The elegant man is never finished. He's always being sharpened. And here's the thing: the more you grow, the more doors open. It could be a job promotion, a new business idea, or a deeper way to serve your community. Personal development shifts how you walk, talk, and think. And it's not just about head knowledge, it also balances your emotions. Because knowledge without emotional maturity becomes arrogance. To be a real example, you need to be whole, inside and out. Principle 9. Take care of your mental and emotional health. It's no use having money in the bank, muscles on your frame, and a stacked resume if you're falling apart inside. Mental health isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. The provider, the man who wants to be the rock of his home, needs to have his mind in order. Feeling sadness, fear, or frustration doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. The problem is when you bury everything until you explode. That's not strength, that's bondage. Talking about your emotions doesn't make you less of a man. It makes you healthier. Go to therapy if you need to. Open up to a trusted friend or mentor. Join a men's group with real values. Emotional strength isn't just about knowing how to fight, it's knowing when to ask for help. The man who avoids isolation grows in maturity, and the man who grows emotionally leads with clarity. When your mind is clear and your heart is grounded, you become an even stronger shield for your family. You lead not just with words, but with presence. And that kind of man is rare. That's why he's respected. And when you become that kind of man, people notice. They watch you. They listen. They follow. That's how you start changing the world around you. And now it's time to talk about your legacy. Principle 10. Build a reputation that commands respect. A man's reputation begins at home, but it's proven in public. In the streets, at work, at church, and in the small, everyday moments when no one thinks you're watching. Earning respect in the community isn't about showing off power, it's about living with integrity. A man with solid masculinity doesn't need to advertise himself. His example speaks louder than his words. He's the type people trust, young men listen to, and elders admire. Get involved. Serve others. Be generous. Show respect to everyone, from the janitor to the CEO. Stay away from drama, gossip, and fake appearances. A refined, grounded man doesn't build a loud reputation, he builds a strong one. A real provider doesn't limit his impact to just four walls, he brings his values outside, and people notice. That's why he gets called for counsel, for partnerships, and for leadership. He's not invisible, he's the standard. When your children see you being honored by others, they start to understand what it means to have a name worth carrying. When your wife sees you treated with respect, her admiration for you grows. And when you build that kind of reputation, you don't just change your life. You become the man who inspires others to change theirs. But for that to happen, one thing must be true. You have to choose it. And now that you've seen the pillars, it's time to look at what's been holding you back. Let me ask you something. After everything you've just heard, what are you actually going to do differently today? Keep living on autopilot, expecting respect without putting in the work? Or are you ready to step into the role that only a real man has the guts to take on? Because at the end of the day, it's not charming words that hold a family together. It's posture, consistency, and character. Do you want to be the pride of your home? Want your kids to admire you, your wife to desire you, and your community to respect you? Then start applying what you've learned, one step at a time. Pick just one of these principles and act on it today. Waiting for the perfect moment only builds a life full of regret. The reward comes to those who move, and move with conviction, not excuses. Now tell me this. Which of these principles hit you the hardest? Which one made you realize something was missing in your life? Drop it in the comments. I want to hear what's going on inside you. And if you want to keep growing in masculinity, leadership, provision, and true respect, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and walk this journey with us. Because here, men aren't canceled for being men, they're forged to become better.